Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Please don't forget to subscribe.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Blow the Whistle Sports. I'm your host, Wayne Holloway, and thank you once again for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and share. And like always, if you want to see something on this show or you have a bright idea that you want to see us implement on this show, drop them in those comments below or hit us on any one of our social media outlets. Holler at us, we holler back. Yes, we got a nice show for you guys here today. But first, I want to introduce you to my co-host, and he goes by the name of Mr. Patrick Nagle. How you doing, sir?
I am fantastic. How are you, sir?
Oh man, I'm great. I'm great. I can't be better. Got my feelings on my shoulders right now, but hey, it is what it is. Life goes on, but man, it a trip how things happen. Life.
That's why I always say sports is the greatest reality show that there ever is and there ever will be, because it has a way of sucking you in and taking your heart right out of your chest at the last minute, and it's a crazy, wild roller coaster. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. It can make you laugh, it can make you cry, it can make you overwhelmed with joy. And that's what reality TV is all about, and that's what sports is about. So, it's the roller coaster, and I sign me up. I'll get in line for that roller coaster every time.
Me too. Right now, though, I'm feeling a little bit of chewed up and spit out.
Well, for those who don't know, and this is why Wayne is sad, Wayne picked England to win the World Cup, and they were up 1-0. And found a way to lose. And Argentina scored 2 goals in 6 minutes and won the game 2-1 when it looked, for all intents and purposes,
2 goals. You didn't have to say in 6 minutes.
I did have to say
2 goals. It would have been the same effect.
No, England was up 1-0 with literally probably, I don't know, 11 minutes left. And within the blink of an eye, 6 minutes and 47 seconds, if you want the exact numbers.
This is Patrick with the salt.
And Argentina scores twice on 2 amazing assists from Lionel Messi. And wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Argentina goes from on life support to England is gone. And Argentina
in the books. Hey, it is what it is. And congratulations to both sides. Who's been the hot team? Messi's team has been the hot team this whole time, and all of us have been fighting it. We've all been fighting it. It is what it is. Well, Messi is on a whole nother level, and his team is supercharged.
Well, here's something interesting, Wayne. I didn't really know this until I did a little research this afternoon. The Final Four was France, Spain, England, and Argentina. Right. So France, the number 1 ranked team in FIFA, Spain, the number 2 ranked team in FIFA, and Argentina, number 3, England, number 4. So, crazy tournament, crazy the way it all works out. But 1, 2, 3, and 4 made the Final Four. And now we have 3 and 2 matching up for the championship. It will be Argentina versus Spain. I predicted it would be Argentina versus France. That did not happen. I was for a long time, like 80 something minutes there, I felt like I was going to be wrong on both games. Luckily, I'm only half wrong. So, I was happy to see Argentina come through for daddy. And, and it's always good for me to get the victory and be able to rub a little salt in Wayne's wound. But a great game nonetheless. And again, I've said this many times, but what an amazing World Cup, right? You just can't stop watching because you never know what's going to happen.
Fantastic, boy.
And it happened, again, Argentina looked like they were done and out of it, and they were already kind of having the retirement speech for Messi, teed up, and boom, goal, game over. Argentina advances.
Yeah.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm
All
just
right.
dusting it off. Just dusting it off. Man, I would love to hear what Stephen Roubaix has to say about it.
Well,
Um,
listen, we all know what Steven's going to say. He's going to say, Wayne, that's what you get for picking England. But,
yeah, yeah, and then both of you guys will be against me, kicking me while I'm down. I get it. I get it. I get it.
I don't
You
want
know,
to kick you. I don't want to kick you while you're down, but I do want to point out that England lost. And
they
I think
did.
I think that's
They did.
important to point out.
I want to shout out to Stephen Roubaix. Help you get a safe and speedy recovery, and get back on here, man. We want to hear what you got to say.
On on any topic other than LeBron, we want to hear what you have to say. That's exactly correct.
Oh man, but hey, to all those Argentina fans, hey, congratulations. And I'm getting on board. Argentina, I'm going all the way with Argentina now.
Well,
Messi is the guy, and I look forward to Messi showing out in this next game and putting that exclamation point where it belongs, putting his flag, as they say, in the sand and taking it home.
it would. I mean, not that he needs it, but it would 100% solidify him as the GOAT, especially if he has an amazing game. But his two assists, even today, were amazing because England was really like double teaming him, triple teaming him, making it very difficult for him to get anything going. So for him to even get what he got today in those assists was impressive. Finding a way to make it work for your teammates when you're being taken out of the game is what a true leader does, in the best player in the game. So really, really amazing. A pleasure to watch. I've said this a lot in my lifetime, but I've had the great pleasure to watch a lot of the games greats in any sport. I mean, name a sport.
Right.
I got to see Wayne Gretzky play in hockey. I got to see Kobe, Michael, LeBron play in basketball and watch them. But and in my my fandom, I got to watch Steph Curry. I got to watch some of the greats in baseball. And so when you get to see someone like a Messi, Ronaldo, guys of that caliber play, it really is something because you can say, hey, I got to see the best play, and
Yeah, and you're part of history. You
yeah,
go down
sure.
as such, and
Yeah.
nobody can take it from you. When they talk about this years and years later, you were there and you saw it.
Yeah. I mean, when I
Like,
first
yeah.
saw Gretzky play hockey, he was amazing because he isn't a big guy. He isn't some big, tough, toothless guy. I mean, he was fast and quick and incredibly accurate with his shot.
Yes.
And those are the things that you can say, hey, I saw him play, and I got to tell you, he was something special. And as someone, I got to watch Barry Bonds play, and I know that there's controversy with Barry and all that, but let's put that aside for a second. I just remember when Barry was playing, it was must-see TV every at bat he took, right?
Yes.
And it was something amazing. And it was the same thing during coming out of the strike year with Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa when they were going back and forth and the home run leaders that year. Those are the moments and those are the times that when you look back and say as a fan, hey, I was a part of that. I got to see that, and I remember what that was like, and I remember the emotion and the way that people paid attention to those moments and what it meant to our society, not just sport, but everybody was talking about it. And that's when you're a part of a transcendent moment when people that aren't sports people, hey, did you see the game last night? Or hey, did you hear about this? And that's when you just sit back and someone who's arguably a massive sports fan, I just say, yeah, I did, and it's amazing to hear you talk about it because I know I watched it, and if you're talking about it, I must be about it. So that's amazing.
It's amazing for you to even go back that far, just to reminisce, and just like when Tyson fights, the goosebumps you used to get when you ordered a fight and you have 20 people over, you cater your own house and have people show up and you get to watch this fight and the lights and the cameras and it was like you were there in the arena. or Fernando Valenzuela on the mound. Ooh,
Yeah.
pitching, and everybody in the women and children included watching this game like it meant something because it really did. That's where I like. That's the reason why we watch these sports. The reason those moments in time that are timeless. You know, we get to see this, we get to remember it, and we get to share it with all you guys here. Man,
Absolutely, and that's why if I go to a game, if I go to an event, I have to be there early, and I never leave before it's over because you just never know what's going to happen. And man, would I kick myself, even if my team's down, 10-0 or whatever. What if I missed the greatest comeback, or what if I missed, some great play because I just wanted to leave early, and that's what keeps me engaged and entertained from start to finish. And I just have one thing to say about your Tyson memory. I have all those same memories, but that was when you told your friends, don't be late because if you blink, it might be over. So you better show up on time.
You better not get up to go get any more dip. Don't use the restroom or you will be disappointed.
Yeah, you better get all that stuff done before he walks in because it might be done before you know it. So get ready because it's on. But yeah, no, that's what sports about. And here in America, we're spoiled. We have all these sports, but we don't even fully understand the magnitude of the World Cup on what it means to the rest of the world. And when you see the ratings numbers for the World Cup, broadcast, it's incredible. And it's and that's when people will talk about, Super Bowl. It's the number one watch show. Yeah, here in America, but World Cup is the number one rated show, and it is it's amazing.
Truly, truly amazing. And I'm just happy to be a part of it now. I cheated myself for so long. Yeah. It's amazing. You took the words right out of my mouth. But let's move on to NFL, and I got something interesting for you.
Okay.
A while back when you didn't make it, you had some things that you were taking care of. Me and Steve went over the different divisions. And, playing devil's advocate before the season, before training camp, before any injury, we just highlighted the teams that we were picking going into the season. No bearing on what's going to happen during the season, but just a general consensus of how you feel.
Right.
So I just want to go over that with you. And I want to start off with the NFC West.
NFC West, got it. Okay.
Now, with the NFC West, we have the Cardinals, Rams, 49ers, Seahawks.
Yes.
Will you put those in order the way you think that division is going to pan out?
Well, first off, I want to say arguably best division in football. You got the Super Bowl champs in there. You got the Rams, who were arguably one of the best teams all year in football in there. And you got the Niners, who even despite a massive slew of injuries last year, found a way into the playoffs and really, looked like world beaters. And then you have the Cardinals. In order, I would have to go with the Rams as number one. I think they're
Super Bowl champs.
What's that?
Not the Super Bowl champs. You can put the Rams over the Super Bowl champs.
I am.
Wow.
I think the Rams, by adding Myles Garrett, I think really solidified their defense. They made a lot of moves that a lot of people seem to forget because they made them early. They made multiple trades to upgrade their secondary, which was kind of their Achilles heel last year.
Yes.
They went out and traded for Trent McDuffie. They at one corner they signed the other corner out of Kansas City. I just think they really solidified themselves and put themselves in a pretty good position. I give them the nod over Seattle at number 2. Seattle would be 2 for me because they lost a lot in free agency. And I feel like they didn't have a superstar other than JSN, but they had to kind of, have role players by not signing back the MVP of the Super Bowl, the running back. I think that is something that will we'll see. I mean, they did take a running back. They took the kid from Notre Dame at the bottom half of the draft, but we'll see, right? I'm not sure how they're going to do
Right.
with that. I think they might have a little bit of a slippage, and we'll see how that goes. I put the Niners at 3 and the Cardinals at 4. I think the Niners, arguably, if they can come back healthy, might bump up there, but that's going to be a really competitive division. I think you could make an argument for any of those 3 teams to win the division. I think maybe 1 or maybe even 2 wild cards come out of that division.
I can truly see that. I can truly see that. For me, the 49ers are a sneaky team.
They are.
From year to year, they don't look like they have the stuff, but they always prove everybody wrong. The 49ers, no matter what, they're always in the mix. They're always being talked about. And on game day, they show up. They show up. The 49ers draft well. That's the thing I want to say.
Not in the first round, actually. They're 3 through 7. They're very, very good. They do a very good job of finding those diamonds in the rough and getting them into the right places. You could argue their first round picks haven't always been the best. But what I will say about the 49ers is I can't think of many teams that could have suffered the injuries that they suffered last year and still been competitive.
Yeah.
They have probably the best backup in football in Mac Jones right now.
Right.
And I just feel like if they stay healthy and on trajectory, I think they could move up in that division. But like I said, that division is going to be tough, and I feel like they're going to beat each other up. And I don't know. There's 3 really, really good teams in that division.
Okay. So you're taking the Rams number 1. Now I'm going to move to the AFC West. Broncos, Chiefs, Raiders, Chargers. Same question. Line them up for me.
Broncos number 1. Arguably should have made the Super Bowl if they had their starting quarterback. If Bo Nix would have been able to play in that game against New England. He wasn't. They didn't. But I think they're number 1. I think Kansas City is still the number 2. I mean, I think they reloaded, they retooled. I like a lot of the moves they made. I think they might have a bounce back year this year. I look at them as number 2, but I also think the Broncos might come back to the pack a little bit. I mean, it's hard to stay on top. They're not sneaking up on anybody this year.
They know what to expect from him.
Yeah, and 3 is the Chargers. They're too bipolar, man. Like one week they're great, they look amazing. The next week they look like they've never played before. So I don't really know how to feel about them until I see some level of consistency.
Understandable.
And then the Raiders, and the Raiders I am going to put in the cellar, but I also like a lot of what they did this offseason.
Me as well.
I really feel like they have the coaching staff that's going to work there, taking Kubiak, the offensive coordinator from Seattle. I like the pick of Fernando Mendoza at number 1, but I really like the signing of Kirk Cousins to mentor Mendoza. They have a lot of similarities, including, their faith. And I just really feel like it's going to be the softest possible landing for a number 1 overall pick. I think Cousins is going to be able to mentor him. There's no pressure on Mendoza to have to be the man on day 1. He can just play and learn from arguably just a true professional quarterback. So although the Raiders will be the last place team in there, I actually think they're going to improve a lot. And I could see them making a case for overtaking the Chargers and getting into 3rd place in that division. But I think in a couple of years, as this team matures, grows, and the coaching solidifies, and if they continue to draft like they have and retool their team, I really feel like they could start to be a contender. But unfortunately, they do have Mahomes in that division, and that's always tough. But I like the Broncos, and I think the Chiefs will compete for a wild card.
Okay, so no, I agree with your standings, even though I put Mahomes number 1 over there.
Mm-hmm.
With them getting the Super Bowl MVP, I put that. That's like another battery being put in that man's back. And I believe if Tyreek comes healthy, that he will be rejoining his old team. And there's a lot of little ifs and maybes that still haven't been added. Diggs, he doesn't have a team. Tyreek doesn't have a team, and there's some teams out there that can really use those hands. Really use those hands. But I like your list.
And that's why I picked him as 2, right? There's a lot of what ifs there. Does Mahomes come back healthy? Can Kenny Walker get into the mix quick enough? Can they get enough other guys to start making plays so Travis isn't the main focus and doesn't get triple teamed and hit off the line every minute of the play? I agree with if they go out and sign a Diggs, sign a Tyreek, one of those 2 guys, or maybe even both. If they, now I'm starting to feel a little more bullish on them taking the top spot. But right now, I'm going to put them at 2 because there are a lot of what ifs, and I'm not going to make a list on potential. I'm going to make a list on what I think is there right this very second.
Perfect. Okay, so AFC West, Broncos 1, NFC West, Rams 1. Now we're going to move to the AFC East.
Okay.
Bills, Dolphins, Patriots, Jets. And same question. Let me hear you pull it apart.
This is an interesting division for me. In the fact that I think you have at the top, you have 2 teams, one that really, really overperformed last year and one that incredibly underperformed last year.
Exactly.
So is it the truth or is it a mirage? So, and by that, I'm saying I think the Patriots, you could argue, overachieved. They had the easiest schedule in football. Now, granted, if you have the easiest schedule in football, you got to win the games you're supposed to win. So you can't knock that from them. They can only play who lines up across from them. And you have the Bills who underachieved, in my opinion, and didn't quite hit the marks that they could have and should have. So,
my goodness.
So for me, I say this. I think the Bills return to form. I think the coaching change there will motivate some people to put up or shut up.
Yes.
They got DJ Moore, who I really think is an underrated receiver in the NFL. He's a quiet guy. He doesn't talk a lot. He's not a flamboyant wide receiver like a lot of these guys, but he just shuts up and goes out and makes plays. So I really like that addition for Josh Allen and the team in Buffalo. I like the fact that that's going to help their draft pick Coleman, who hasn't really hit his stride yet, who maybe and hopefully can learn from a really, really good, solid professional and DJ Moore.
Yeah.
So I like that for them. I'm excited to see what they can do. I think they return to form and take the top spot. Number 2 would be New England. 3 and 4 is hard for me because both of those teams are pretty crappy. I think the Jets don't have a quarterback right now. I mean, Geno Smith, I don't know. He's going to be the starter, but there's not much behind him. He's clearly not the quarterback of the future. He's just a stopgap measure. And then you have the Dolphins who, made the big signing for Malik Willis, who in small spurts in Green Bay has looked good, but it's different, of course, when you become the full-time guy.
Yeah.
And they fire sale their team to get under a salary cap, and so they're going to be pretty crappy. As much as I hate to say it, I think the Jets would be 3 and the Dolphins 4, but I don't really know. I think they're both pretty crappy and tied for last. So, but that's my list there. I think Buffalo returns to form and New England kind of comes back to the fold a smidge.
Well, that's an easy division right there because of how it falls and how crappy the teams are in that division. And I agree with you with the Patriots. I think the Patriots got a good look last season. Mm-hmm. And I hate to say it, but I don't feel like they're going to return back to true form. I think they're going to be a decent team, but I don't think they're going to be that team that we saw last season. And last season, I still didn't. I still didn't see. I didn't see that. I saw some them play some teams that weren't ready to play.
Yeah,
really, truly, benefited from that schedule, like you said. And the Bills, I feel Super Bowl. I think the Bills win the Super Bowl this season, way prematurely. But hey, it is what it is. The Bills got DJ Moore. They got Khalil Shakir on this side, DJ Moore, and they got Cook in that backfield, and they got Allen, and not to mention both those tight ends, Super Bowl. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. We got a whole season to see what's going to go on. Now I'm going to move you to the NFC East. Cowboys, Giants, Eagles, and our guy Steve's favorite team, them Washington Commanders.
All right. I think the Eagles are the king of that division for now. I think Saquon Barkley makes all the difference, makes all their weapons better. Howie Roseman is a phenomenal GM who has really done a great job of drafting incredibly and making really, really good moves. So for me, until they get knocked off, it's Philly. Number two, I think it's Dallas. My concern for Dallas is always, I don't think they've ever done anything to really replace Zeke. And I feel like that's going to always come back to bite them until they can get some semblance of a consistent running game. Right. Otherwise, you put way too much pressure on Dak to have to throw the ball to CD and Pickens. I mean, they have great wideouts. I like Jake Ferguson a lot as a tight end. Dak is a good quarterback. I like Dallas in the number 2 spot, fighting for a wild card. 3 and 4, it's the Commanders and then the Giants for me. I do like some of the moves the Giants have made. My only concern there is just consistency and being in New York, and it's a hard place to play. A lot of pressure on them. I think now the NFL has film on Jackson Dart, and I think it's going to be hard for them. And for the Commanders, I got to see the healthy Jaden Daniels. Obviously he was great his rookie year, but last year he was pretty beat up, and that just has to do with his style of play.
Right.
And he can't play like he did in college because he's not he's a tall guy, but he's a slender guy, and he just can't take that beating on his body. And he needs to adapt his game to the NFL. And based on what I saw last year, that was a struggle for him. So let's see what he can do this year. I like some of the moves they made. I'm not super excited about some of the choices they made in their backfield, though. I feel like, in terms of their running back situation, I feel like their tight end situation needs a little improvement as well. But at the end of the day, they could contend against Dallas if Jaden Daniels kind of returns to form. But as of right now, they go to my 3rd spot.
Okay. Well, AFC East Bills, NFC East the Eagles, and I can't argue with either one of those. The only thing I will say is I like Jackson Dart and Scatterboo. I do. I like their swag. I like their how they put it together, and they're having fun. It looks like the game is actually fun for those two guys.
Yeah, see, I like Scatterboo a lot as far as his swag and all that. And I know they drafted the running back there, and I think that's going to be helpful to him because I'm concerned about him being kind of a Peyton Hillis type of player where he takes a lot of pounding and a lot of wear and tear. And at the running back position, I'm not sure that makes for a long career.
Yes.
I hope he comes back well from his pretty horrible injury. So there's some question marks there for me with him. But I wish him nothing but the best. I'm not trying to speak ill will. I just you can't play the running back position in the NFL and take the pounding that those guys take and have a long career. And I think that having maybe a partner in the backfield for him will kind of maybe slow down his hits and give him a better opportunity to be more and better longer, because I do worry about that.
Yeah, now that he's older, and talking to more guys in the leagues, telling him like, hey, you don't need to pound people at the end of a play. Run out of bounds. Go to the ground. Stop it. Like you're putting unnecessary pressure on your body. I get that. And the only I agree with you with the Commanders. Like I told Steve, that running back situation with the body that you said that the quarterback has, and I agree with you 1,000%. Why would their offensive coordinator use him as a running back up the middle on plays? truly bad decision making on plays when they use their their number one quarterback for a running back when draft a decent running back, period. Like you said.
Well, you and I have seen that in real time, right? With Cam
Yes.
Newton for a long time, and he was and he's an athletic freak at 6'5", 255.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels is not that,
Not at all.
and we also saw that all those pounding and all those hits led to a diminishing skill set for Cam in the back half of his career. I mean, I love Cam, but let's be honest. I mean, if he didn't do all that and take all those hits, and would he maybe have had 2 or 3 more better years and propelled the Panthers to higher standard? Maybe. But we will never know. But Jaden Daniels is not that big, and I think he just has to use his scrambling ability to get the first downs when they're there, get it and slide, and not take the punishment.
And this is a thought. With all that talent you have, go back and look at some Tom Brady videotape. See that when the play is broken up and there's nothing you can do, throw the ball into the ground.
Throw it out of bounds.
Exactly. There's no shame in that. No shame in that.
None at
Now
all.
moving on to the North.
God.
The AFC North. Ravens, Bengals, Browns, Steelers. I can't wait to hear what you say about this.
This is a hard division for me in the sense that you have a couple of teams in there that they're like, Forrest Gump and a box of chocolates, right? You never know what you're going to get,
Perfect analogy.
And that's the Bengals and the Steelers, right? For me. The Bengals always seem to be full of promise and not deliver, right? With Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, they should be doing it and be consistently in the top. They're just not. And the Steelers, I am 100% not on board with Aaron Rodgers.
Say what?
Coming back? I think we saw an old man playing the position at the end of the season last year. He was battered and beaten. He looked like he was done. He comes back for another year. I think he's just holding that team hostage and keeping keeping the rebuild at bay, which I think is a mistake. I'm not sold on that team. The Browns, I don't know what the heck they're doing. I mean, they have 27 quarterbacks, and I don't think any of them are any good. So, let's see what they can do this year. They did have a phenomenal draft. I do like their draft a lot. Until they can get a guy under center that can consistently play, I don't think it much matters. So I'm going to rank them like this. I mean, Baltimore goes to the top spot for me. I got to see more from Lamar Jackson for me to really put him in the next class up. But, I think they made a lot of mistakes last year. I'm curious to see how the coaching change affects their play calling there. Right. They had Derrick Henry, and I don't understand why so many times they just stopped running the ball when King Henry was unstoppable, and for some
clearly
reason,
dominating the game,
and
then he goes dormant.
Yeah, they just stopped running. I'm like, why? Why? What the hell are you doing? So Baltimore goes to the top spot for me. I'm going to put Pittsburgh in number 2.
Wow.
I'm going to put the Bengals at number 3, and I'm going to put the Browns at number 4. On the Browns, look, if Deshaun Watson is the guy, put him under center and let him play. If Shedeur Sanders is the guy, put him under center and let him play. If Dylan Gabriel's the guy, put him under center and let him play. But this quarterback carousel, it's got to stop. You got to pick one and you got to ride him out. And we're not there in practice every day. We don't know what's going on. So I'm not going to weigh in on who I think is the better guy, because my opinion doesn't matter. But just pick a guy and stick with him. This open competition, and we're going to bring in 27 dudes. I don't know that that's the right answer for them. Of course, I don't know what the right answer is ever for them anyway. So they're the Browns, and they are the mistake by the lake. And I don't know if they're ever going to be any good until they can actually solve the quarterback riddle.
Yeah. And I believe the quarterback riddle is just what you said. Pick a guy, put your faith in that guy, and live and die by that guy. So he has faith that he has a job every week. So he's not overreaching.
Yeah.
Let him have the comfortability of his position, knowing that you stand behind him. Or if you don't, put the person that you feel that way about.
Yeah.
Now, me, with that city going through, like you said, 27 guys, everybody wants Shador Sanders in that city to be the starting quarterback. At least give your fan base what they want if you can't make that type of decision, period. But I agree. Ravens number one. Ravens number one. Moving on to the NFC North. Bears, Lions, Packers, Vikings.
This is also an interesting division for me because I think last year you saw the Bears play way over their head, and you saw Detroit kind of underperform, versus their expectation. Green Bay also underperformed, and the Vikings were just crap because they don't have a quarterback that can play football, and they decided to let Sam Darnold out the door, which I'll never understand. So for me, I'm gonna go with Detroit in the top spot because I think they're gonna get their shine back. I don't think they're gonna be happy with how things went last year, and I think Dan Campbell's gonna get in their butt a little bit, and if there wasn't a complacency, he's gonna beat that out of them. I like Chicago in the number 2 spot.
Mm-hmm.
I think you will see them come back to earth a little bit. I just think that when teams get more film on your quarterback, and now that they saw how Ben Johnson, the new head coach last year, was going to use him, I think the defenses can scheme him up a little bit and confuse him a little bit. So I think he might come back to earth a smidge. And then obviously that leaves Green Bay in the 3rd place position, and I don't have any faith in the Vikings whatsoever. Again, they have a quarterbacking situation where open competition, no confidence in either guy. Kyler Murray comes in. He realistically should be the starter, but there's all kinds of knocks on his career, which I'm not sure I totally understand. But he's looking to reinvigorate his career on a 1-year deal. And then the guy that they just thought was going to be the next coming, and J.J. McCarthy, who threw more interceptions than completions, it seems like, last year. So I put them at the bottom.
Okay. I agree with the Lions. As long as that coach can put points on the board and stop thinking of his ego and give his city and his team the points, I agree with that. I this is another division. The Bears, I don't think they're going to return, just like the Patriots. I believe they fell up under that. The Lions played bad, Green Bay played bad, and the Vikings are already bad. So I believe they benefited from that. I don't think we're going to get that same look this season. But hey, prove me wrong. All you Bear fans, don't be mad at me. It's just how I feel on the inside. Just on the inside. But I agree, Lions number 1. Moving on over to the AFC South. Texans, Colts, Jaguars, Titans. Woo.
Well, here's an interesting division in that the Colts were on fire until Daniel Jones gets injured, right?
Yes.
So I think they were undefeated, or maybe they were 7-1, 8-1, something like that. And then Daniel Jones gets hurt. And then they're fighting for a playoff spot up until the last week. And they even had, some great play when they brought in, 98-year-old Phillip Rivers off the couch. So I like them a lot, and I like some of the moves they've made. I think they've improved their team. I like the Jags a lot. I think they're on the upswing. I think Trevor Lawrence is starting to figure it out. They did all that they did last year, and they didn't even really. They only had Travis Hunter for 2.5 games. So, although word on the street, it sounds like he's going to be a full-time corner and give him an opportunity to play a few plays here and there at receiver, which he can't. No one can be a two-way player in the NFL. I'm sorry, the game is
It
too
made no
physical.
sense for them to even think that,
Yeah,
Patrick.
I agree with you. It's too
Why would they
physical.
put that young man through that? Why would they put his body through that when you have a number 1 draft pick? You draft this man number 1. What was that experiment about? Just the hoopla?
No, I think that some of that was what he wanted, right? That was his ego. He wanted to be a two-way player, and he prided
Okay.
himself that in Colorado. And and look, I'm not trying to disparage the guy at all, but I am going to say I'm not sold on him whatsoever. He's got to prove it to me, and I'll sit here and say I was wrong if he goes out there and balls out this year. But when he was at Colorado and Jackson State, who was he playing against? And he's putting up these numbers, okay, at wide receiver, and he's this great corner. What great wide receiver did he guard in college? Like,
Right.
he wasn't going up against Ohio State and all their guys, and he wasn't going up against Michigan or Alabama or Georgia. He wasn't playing those teams to where you could sit there and really assess him to be this phenomenal player.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing the guy doesn't have talent, but I just I want to see it at the NFL level, and I just don't think you can play both ways consistently in the NFL and take that type of pounding. Your body just can't do it. And I like if they think he's a better corner, which I do think he's probably a better corner than he is wide receiver, in my
That was
opinion.
my question that I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
So which side do you think he
I,
should
I,
play?
I think he's a really, really good corner. I think he's an average running a wide receiver. Is he? I mean, he's probably not even. He's probably the third or fourth best wide receiver on his own team, let alone
Wow.
the NFL. I mean, well, I think Brian Thomas is really, really good, even though his last year his numbers struggled a little bit, but he's a phenomenal receiver. I just don't. I'm not sold on him. So make him a corner or make him a receiver, whatever you're going to make him, but let him master that craft. And then if he can, maybe Patrick Peterson or even Deion Sanders or those guys, they played a few plays, but they didn't. That you just can't do that consistently. The game is too advanced.
Right.
How can you make an adjustment with a guy if he's in the game on the other side of the football, playing? You can't adjust with him. You can't sit him down and explain, hey, we're going to adjust, or here's what we're going to do. So I just think he's overblown. So that's just my opinion, though. So I like the Jags a lot. I'm going to put the Jags in the top spot in that division. I'm going to put the Colts in the second spot in that division.
Wow.
I'm going to put Houston in the third spot in that division. And then I'll of course put the Titans at the bottom spot. I think the Titans, maybe they're improving. I like to see more from them. I don't think they're very good right now. Houston's the wild card to me in the sense of
Even with
CJ
that
Stroud.
defense,
Was that?
even with that lockdown defense.
Well, this is what I was about to say. I mean, CJ Stroud, the last season and a half, has really regressed, and defenses are confusing him, and he's turning the ball over at a pretty alarming rate.
Right.
You had to take that into. So, how good does your defense have to be to overcome that, right? Where the other team is getting extra possession after extra possession and probably in good field position. And I'm of the belief you can be a great defense one season, but I think, NFL coaches are amazing and they can find ways to beat you. And,
Right.
So let's see what they can do again. I mean, they did lose a couple people in free agency. So right now,
You give them a little bit of grace with the wide receivers being hurt the way they were all season, in and out, in and out.
Well, I would, except, it's just some of those interceptions that CJ was throwing. I don't know that it mattered. Like,
Okay.
and I mean, he threw 4 interceptions in the first half of a playoff game. It's, and I said it last week. I mean, on our last show, and I'll say it again. Imagine if Bryce Young did that, and how the national media would react to it, right?
Man.
So, I could be wrong. Maybe Houston, finds a way to scale back up that thing, and he fouls out. But the Colts were good, and I think if Daniel Jones is healthy, the Colts can be good. If the Jags were good, if they can continue to ascend, they're going to be good. This is going to be a tough division, and I'm this is probably the hardest division for me to pick, just because this division has a lot of what ifs.
It's wild.
It-
It's
it-
wild.
you know, what if Daniel Jones isn't healthy? What are they going to do? They you know, Anthony John has proven not to be great, so I don't know what they do there. What happens with Houston if they choose to bench CJ, or CJ returns to a better style of play for them and he becomes a better player than he has shown the last couple of years? Then maybe they jump higher on the list. The Jags, maybe they were a mirage last year and they slipped back. So this is a hard division for me in the sense that there's not a lot of proven here.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of question marks on each one of these teams. There's a lot of great things on each one of these
Whole
teams.
lot of what ifs.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I agree with your assessment. But I'm still gonna give it to the Texans. I'm gonna give him that little bit of grace that I was telling you about, just because everybody went down. It was him by himself at the end of the game. But
that's fair.
But I like the Jags. I like the Colts, and I want Daniel Jones to come because he went to the Colts and it looked like a different player that we haven't seen before. He looked like a true superstar on the Colts. So I welcome that to come back. I welcome it.
Well, he goes to Minnesota and he doesn't ever get on the field. He learns from Kevin, O'Neill. I'm sorry, Kevin O'Daniel and O'Connell. I messed up his name there. He gets a chance to learn, and then he comes to the Colts, and it's obvious that he got coached up by a great quarterback coach because he looks like a completely different guy.
Yeah. Okay, well, one more division. This one's a close one to our hearts. The NFC South: Falcons, Panthers, Saints, Buccaneers. I'm interested in hear how you break this one down.
This one's also hard for me because you have three teams that tied last season. Due to tiebreakers and things, the Panthers ascend to the top, but three teams were tied at 7 and 9. You could make an argument that the Falcons were the hottest team at the end of the season last year. Yes. But it wasn't enough to save their coach, so they made a coaching change. Tampa Bay has lost a lot. They lost their main receiver there. There's a lot of animosity there. Baker not getting a contract. There's a lot of frustration on that team. I'm thinking that's not going to help them. I mean, they have other receivers that can step up and replace, but it's different when you have a security blanket.
That safety blanket. That's a perfect word for it right there.
Just throw it up to 13. He's going to get you a first down every time. I mean, he's going to get 1,000 yards in every season he's played, except for last season when he spent a lot of time injured. So, I think that's a big loss. I think Atlanta has all the skill in the world except their quarterback position. The combination of Tua and Penix. First off, they're both fragile, and I'm not convinced that either of them are great. And then you have New Orleans, who was the team who didn't tie for the division, but who really seemed to find something in Tyler Shrug and get better. So my ranking is this. We'll start at the bottom. I think the team in the bottom of this division this year is Atlanta. Okay. I don't like their quarterback situation at all. Okay. I think there's a lot of question marks there. I think I think it was John Madden and Bill Parcells who both said at different times, if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have one. And I don't like their situation there. So Atlanta's in the bottom for me. In the third spot, I'm going to put Tampa Bay. I think they lost a lot. I'm not sure that when Baker's has shown when he's not in a great headspace, he's not the best. Okay. And he gets frustrated when he's in a good headspace. He plays great. I'm not sure he's there. I think he's lost a lot. I think there's going to be frustration for him, and I think it's going to come out on the field. so I think I like what New Orleans did in the draft. I don't think they're ready to compete for a division title, but I do like what they did in the draft. I think they come in number 2, and I think that puts the Carolina Panthers in first place, who will win the division handily. I don't think it's going to be as close as it was last year. I think that you're going to see the other 3 teams struggle a little bit. I think you're going to see Carolina continue to build on the things that they've done. Listen, they have a lot of continuity there. This is the 3rd year of our man Dave Canales' tenure there. He's really done a great job in building a culture.
Excellent job.
Dan Morgan has done a great job in drafting quality players that are also quality humans.
Yes.
And I think that that's starting to show on the field. I think they did a tremendous job in free agency this year, adding 2 pieces that they desperately needed on defense. I just feel like, it was a playoff team. You can call it an asterisk or whatever you want to call it from the outside looking in, but they gave arguably the best team in the league last year a run for their money, and had the lead with 1 minute and 30 seconds left in that game. So I think they continue to grow on that. I think Bryce Young continues to gain in his confidence, and I think he continues to put up some pretty good numbers. And you're going to see Carolina be, in that next tier of teams that people talk about in the playoffs.
Yes, sir. Angel City Riot, stand up. Roaring Riot, stand up. Yes. Hey, you said a mouthful there, and I agree with your assessment at number 1. What I will say, the only thing I would change, I will put Tampa Bay at number 2, New Orleans at number 3. But hey, it is what it is. No argument for me.
Way early assessments.
Oh, way early. We don't know what's going to happen in training camp. People have to stay healthy.
Amen.
And with the way the new athletes have been going about their getting ready, the training, how we get these injuries, because I feel that they need to go back to full pads during preseason to get their legs, to get acclimated to what they're going to be doing on the field, instead of jumping right in after preseason, then putting the pads on, putting the extra weight on, still making those same cuts. From playing football, when you play with that 10 20 pounds on, it's different. It's different for cutting and going up and down that field. I just feel that they need to put more time and energy into getting those bodies together so we can avoid those hamstring injuries, and
no, I agree.
Have a good season. A good season.
There's a lot of factors, as injuries, there's luck, there's the timing of those injuries. There's all kinds of things that can change a season on a dime for any of these teams. And so for me, although it's fun to talk about and it's fun to throw some teams out there and say this is the team and all that.
Oh yeah,
that's what makes the NFL great, right? There's 17 chances to prove it, and and you only get 17 chances to prove it. So
there it is.
You got to show up on game day and you got to get ready to roll. And sometimes great teams don't answer the bell, and sometimes teams that you never saw coming come out and answer the bell, and that's why there's this phrase that's called on any given Sunday. And and that's why we play the game, right? On paper we're going to lose 100 out of 100 times, but that's why we play the game, so to find a way to win. So I'm excited, man. I mean, the season's right around the corner. Training camp's open very soon. This is my favorite sport by a long shot, and I just feel like every year is exciting, and there's always going to be a surprise team in here somewhere that you didn't see coming. And one of the teams that I wrote off and said is going to be horrible turns out to be a world beater. And that's just the way the NFL goes. And I'm here for it, man. I got a front row seat every Sunday to watch it because that's what makes it great.
Yes. And you guys can get all your late updates here, Blow the Whistle Sports from a fan's point of view. We're gonna
I,
give you everything you need.
I have one thing before we leave.
I'm listening.
Is that all right?
Yeah, go ahead. Kick it out.
As a fan, we talk a lot about what players do on and off the field, the court, um, the hockey rink, inside the octagon, inside the boxing ring. But one of the things that we don't talk about and is that the men and the humans and that they are off the court. And tonight, Steph Curry was awarded the Ali Sportsman Award at the ESPYS. And so the thing about Steph Curry is, and put a footnote here. I'm a homer. Steph is my favorite player of all time. But Steph is not a big man. Steph is not huge, and yet he takes a pounding, and he's done amazing things in his career, even when it looked like in the early days of his career, his ankles were never going to give him an opportunity to be anything but a washout. He certainly has proven all that wrong and has gone on to be one of the best players in NBA history.
True.
But I say all that to say that pales in comparison to what he and his wife Aisha have done for the community in the Bay Area and the amount of philanthropy that they do. They've invested over $100 million into programs into the Oakland area for kids through their Eat, Play, Learn foundation. And
love it.
It's just amazing to me to see such a phenomenal player, but at the same time give so much back to the community and to understand that he is who he is, but that he's been given all this great fame and wealth, but to stop and turn around and give a handout to the next group behind him. Yeah. Says a lot about he and his wife, a lot about what they've done. I know personally of some things that he's done with when we had the fires in 2017, when I lived there, and some of the things he did for some of the kids. I just would be remiss if I didn't take a minute to say that I appreciate watching him on the court, but I really admire and I'm happy to live in a time where I can watch someone who is so phenomenal, but also give so much back to the community that supports him. It means a lot to me. It goes a long way. I see the same thing in a lot of different players. So I don't want to leave them out, because there are amazing players that do great things. Steph won tonight. I also want to shout out another player in a different sport that did some amazing philanthropy here recently, and that's Travis Kelce and his new bride, Taylor Swift. And you can say whatever you want about them, but no secret that Taylor's favorite number is 13, and 13 plus Travis 13 made 26, and they donated $26 million to different organizations all across the country to feed people, to help people learn, all kinds of different community things. And I don't think that stuff gets celebrated enough. And I saw a lot of negativity online about some of these things that these players have done. Oh, it's a tax write-off, or they're just trying to buy good PR. I don't care about any of that stuff.
Something. People always have something negative.
I don't care about any of that stuff, because they still did it. They still took their time. They still took their money, and they invested it into causes that are special and mean something. And I just feel like we can celebrate everything they do on the field and in the arena of battle, and we should. But at the same time, we should celebrate when they do something great off the field. And these two deserve a highlight. And that's all I want to say.
Oh, most definitely. Please like, subscribe, and share. Tell a friend, tell another friend. And we'd like to hear you guys' feedback. Drop in the comments. Let us know what you want us to talk about, or put a question out to us. We will address it on the air and give you a shout out. And you're always able to talk in the chat and say what you want to say. We're going to address your question as the show progresses and goes on. Thank you guys for your support, and thank you for tuning in. We'll see y'all next Monday and Wednesday, 7 p.m. Like usual. You guys have a blessed week. Yeah, England lost. I had to bring that back in there again. I just, I was happy. Then I thought about that, and it was just what it was. See y'all next week. Oh my goodness.